Do you have a ton of issues with your heating and air system? Have you considered just tearing it all out and starting over, making sure that it's installed right this time? If you're in that position, I want to give you 5 things to think about before you make that big leap. Maybe these things can help you avoid another issue, especially if you're about to put a big investment into all of this. I was at someone's home just last week, and this is something that they are doing. They're literally just tearing it all out, starting over. They're actually building onto their house anyway, and instead of continuing to have problems, they're just going to tear it all out and start all over and do it right this time. So here they are, the 5 things that I think you should consider before starting over. Number 1, I would consider, why did they do it the way they did it the first time? What I mean by that is, if you are going to tear everything out, I would consider, before doing that, if you're talking to pros and getting opinions and deciding what's best to do here, consider why maybe they did it the way they did it for one reason or another. Now, you may know that there's problems, right? You know that there are issues, there's a reason you're considering starting all over. I would just encourage you to look at things like, why did they install the type of system they installed? Maybe they installed a furnace instead of a heat pump straight electric system. Maybe they installed the ductwork in a way that maybe it didn't quite make sense. Maybe you've had issues and now you're starting over. I would just, again, encourage you to look at why maybe they did it that way. Maybe you don't understand why they located the system in the crawl space or the basement and you think it should have been in the attic or inside the house. Maybe they put it in the garage and you think it should have been in the basement. I don't know, but again, before you start all over, just go into everything with a fresh mind. Not saying you still shouldn't start over, not saying you shouldn't pull everything out, but maybe just consider why they did it the way they did it. Maybe there's a reason the ductwork is undersized to one part of the home. Maybe there was just not enough room in that area and they kind of did the best they could. I don't think that's right. I don't think you should cut corners just because there's not enough room. To me, you would make room. But if you just consider why they did things the way they did them, maybe that might help you moving forward. Number 2, if you're going to do this, make sure you're going to do it right this time. And you may say, well, Josh, obviously I'm going to do it right this time. I hear that all the time, and homeowners still cut corners right out the gate. I've had customers call us and they'll say, hey, I'm starting over, or I'm installing a system for the first time, and I will say to them, have you had a proper heat load calculation done? No. I know what I need. I know it's a 2-ton, and that's what I want. Okay, well, starting out, you're already cutting a corner right out the gate. If you're not going to do a proper heat load calculation, you're cutting corners right out the gate. Maybe doing it right this time, maybe you should consider your options. Consider your local contractors instead of just going with the cheap guy. Maybe if you're going to have to spend the money, you're going to do the investment, maybe don't go with the cheap guy. Maybe get as many opinions as you can, so that way moving forward, you don't just select the cheap guy. You don't just select, oh, well, this guy, this seems to make sense, so I'm going to... No, get as many opinions, get as many options, have each contractor give you several options. Find the best that you can find and go with them and do it right this time. If you're going to spend this kind of money, let's do it right. Number 3, maybe you don't need to completely start over. Maybe if you consider everything that's going on, maybe there's parts of the house, the ductwork going to that area, it's fine. It was installed properly. Maybe it's just that the heating and air system just needs to be redone correctly. Or maybe you can just replace the system itself and have everything else inspected. Maybe you don't need to completely start over entirely. I had a customer just a few weeks ago. We went there to give them a quote to replace all their ductwork, and in reality, we ended up only replacing the trunk and a couple of the branch lines. We were able to reuse the rest of everything else. It was sized right. We inspected it. Everything looked good. And of course, we did a new heating and air system, but we were able to save them a ton of money by not completely 100% starting over. Number 4, I would consider the system type. Okay, so just because they did it a certain way the first time, if they did say an oil furnace or a gas furnace, maybe you want to now do a heat pump. Or maybe they did a heat pump, but they did a standard, cheap, single-stage system, and you want to do it right this time. You want to do a communicating inverter system. You want to go with a top-of-the-line system. You don't want any more problems, and you're going to have it done right this time. You're going to have an efficient system, a quiet system, a system that can dehumidify well, and if you're going to replace all of this, you're going to start over entirely. Maybe consider the type of system or the size of the system or the overall operation of the system. That's all stuff I would take into account. Maybe just completely ignore what they did and go into it with a fresh set of eyes. Take a deep breath and go into it like you're building a house from the ground up, and you're going to start over and you're going to redo everything. And this is probably how I would do it, not worrying about how they did it. And then finally, number 5, I would consider accessories. And I don't mean your normal accessories. I would consider those too. If you're going with a newer system, you should have accessories such as surge protection or phase monitoring. If you're going with a newer system, why not have cleaner air? So installing better filtration, air cleaners, and things like that. But other accessories you can consider are things like zoning, right? Maybe it didn't have zoning before, but now maybe it might make sense to do zoning. Maybe if you're considering, as we talked about, system types, maybe an accessory you can think about is maybe doing ductless in one area. Maybe you'll do a couple zones here. Maybe you might do like a VRV, like Daikin has their VRV systems that can do furnaces and air handlers and ductless systems all with one outdoor unit. Maybe you might consider other accessories like humidifiers or dehumidifiers. All of that, maybe it wasn't there before and you're going to do it right this time. And those are some accessories that you're going to consider. I'm going to put down in the description of this video some of my favorite accessories that you could add to the system, and you can check those out. But if you're going to tear all this out, and you're going to do it right, maybe that's something you should consider as well. So let me ask you, if you've watched this and you are in that position, you're going to start over, you're going to tear some things out, and you're going to redo things correctly, let me know your thoughts. Comment on this video. Why are you starting over? What is going on? What are the problems? And what are you going to do to fix all of it? If you like this video, I think you'll like this one even more. It's a video where I talk about how heat pump inverter systems are being considered to replace all these conventional ways of doing things, and I think that's a mistake. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.